What's up guys, how are you doing? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's awesome to be back. It's awesome to be posting again after this little break during the summer. Today I'm so excited. I just have so many cool videos to show you. So yeah, let's just get right into it. Today I'm gonna be showing you guys an interview I recorded with an awesome record label. They actually just launched a couple days ago. They're gonna have their release August 13th, and this is the record label called Chromatic Records. It was created by the DJ duo of Los Padres, made of Cameo and Gino, and then with Crespo, another great DJ that's been touring around the country, the USA and all of that. I had a really cool conversation with them. They talked to me about their project, their record label, how the record label will treat their artists, and basically how you, as a music artist, can send them music and can get you signed. If they like your music, they're willing to work with you, they're willing to support you. So without further ado, let's get just straight into the interview. What's up guys, Chromatic Records, how are you doing? Congratulations on your release, finally your record label's out. It's really cool to be here talking to you guys. How are you doing, Cameo?
Awesome, man. Thanks for having us back. I appreciate it.
Yeah, really great to talk to you guys. I'm really excited to get to know your project a little better, and for hopefully for people that are also watching to also get to know the label and maybe even work with you in the future. So let's just get right into it. So like, what's the story of Chromatic Records, Gino? Like, how did you think of the label? Like, why did you start a label? What's kind of the story behind this project?
Well, it's definitely got a group of three guys that we met about 5 years ago. Met through a group of friendship and definitely some past experiences that we come from. We come from similar foundations, but we also come from different experiences too. I come from more of a classical background. Carlos coming from more of a Latin background. Crespo's more of a hip-hop turntablist, and he's got more of a DJ foundation than all of us. And so this is something of a dream of all three of us, as we've kind of had of aspiring artists and producers have always had something of ours, sort of our own label, sort of our own lane, if you will. Yeah. And so this is something that we've envisioned, and kind of a crazy idea years ago, but the more time grew on and the more friendship we kind of grew in the bond that we had with Los Padres, kind of growing into the brand of things, it kind of flourished to Chromatic Records, and now it's just kind of an open format, open kind of discovery lane for your own creativity.
Awesome. And would you say it's something kind of to give back to the community as well, so to be able to like meet new producers, work with new people and all that?
1000% on that, yes sir.
Great. So Crespo, like, what are you looking for with this label? So what are you most excited about? Is it the development of the label, the music you're going to release? What are you most excited about with this launch?
Oh man, I think what we realized was a label held the keys to a lot of the struggles that we were finding in releasing music. For so long, we were sending demos left and right to A&Rs of records that we thought were really good, and some of them wouldn't even open these emails.
Yeah.
And we were like, I think it's time to take the power in our own hands and have a voice for every producer that doesn't get heard, including ourselves at some point, even established artists. We wanted to get the music that we love out and not just sitting in our Dropbox folders.
Yeah.
And we also know that there's tons of producers out in the world that want to be heard. And so for us, it was a no-brainer. It's like, let's create a platform for everyone that wants to be heard. There's no boundaries. You can send us your music. We will listen. We all are very open when it comes to genres. So we love all kinds of music. And I think that's the beauty of Chromatic. It's a very diverse label. It's one where everyone's welcome. And we want everyone who sends a demo to feel that way.
That's great. And so you're also going to be releasing your own music apart from other artists in that label. So it's also going to be a platform for yourself to publish your own music.
Yes, 100%. We actually have our first release coming out next week called Haciéndolo. It's me, Cameo, and a few other artists. And it's a full Latin record.
Yeah,
but it has some dance elements too, which is really cool. It's like Major Lazer.
Yeah, like a Moombathon kind of song, kind of style. Yeah. Is that something that you would also be signing? So if someone is looking to sign that kind of style, like, would they send that demo to Chromatic Records?
Oh, of course, yes.
All day.
We would love that.
So
all day.
A bunch of you have like Latin roots, right? Is that something that is going to be seen in your record label, like all those Latin roots, either through EDM music or like we said, Moombathon and stuff like that?
It's kind of one of those things where when you think back to like the history of dance music, it comes from Latin grooves. You know what I mean? EDM, that 4 to the floor, and all these things with the clave and these rhythms that are in dance music literally came from Afro-Cuban music, Afro-pop. So it's crazy that some of the new generation of producers don't even realize where the roots of that, what they're doing comes from. So I think Latin music will always be part of the backbone for ourselves individually, because it's what drives the sound that we're going for. And then historically, it's part of electronic music as a whole, as the genre. So definitely Latin influence for sure. But like Crespo was saying, we got this like major laser sound individually, and then with Los Padres, as we've spoken before in the past, we've got this like bass house element and this commercial radio stuff. So this label is going to be a melting pot, you know. That's awesome. And it's going to be a opportunity. No closed doors in your face. Just explore the sound that you want. We're looking for just good music that, you know, we can envision being played at, you know, your favorite venues or your festivals. So that's pretty much the primary goal there.
Gino, you can answer that question, but it's basically directed to Gino and you came here. So what will happen to the Los Padres project? Will this record label affect the kind of music you guys make? Will you still sign with other labels? Are you only going to focus on signing Chromatic Records? Like, how is your project going to change?
That's such an exciting answer, because it's not going to change at all. Actually, it's an exciting answer because it's going to continue doing what Los Padres has been doing, is putting out quality records. But now there's an open format, and now there's no rules. And so now you're going to see a new side, sort of a new brand of Los Padres that you've never seen before. And it's going to be more consistent music than you probably have seen of us, more and more consistency with music releases, remixes. And so in a way, it's just another door of opportunity for Los Padres. So it's an exciting moment for us, an exciting movement too.
Great. One of the greatest examples for us as of recent has been something like a rehab project, where it's so diverse. The catalog is so diverse. He's working with Latin artists one week, and then the next quarter he's got a banger deep house record. That is such a beautiful way to have a career, because you literally are controlling your own destiny. You're controlling your own releases, and not every release will be on Chromatic, but Chromatic represents that concept itself. That's what Chromatic means. You know what I mean? It means multiple genres, multiple sounds, multiple colors. So
great that you said what Chromatic means, because my kind of next question was, how did you guys come up with the name? So that's like a perfect lead into the next question.
So I think for like 3 days, Crespo and us were like thinking about names, and we were just kind of like, it's got to be something that absolutely represents us. And we were looking up definitions, and I believe it was Crespo's girlfriend who came up with the initial word
Chromatic.
And I was like looking up definitions, and I was reading the definition of what chromatic meant. And it's funny because chromatic scale in music is so big. We use the chromatic scale every day when we produce. We refer to it, the circle of fifths, which is what the logo is.
Yeah.
And then when you think of color, I think of genres or playlists on Spotify. And, you know, red could be more of this aggressive outlook, where blue can be more of this ambient outlook. And I think you'll see this logo evolve as we evolve as a label. But initially, it's black and white because it's yet to be painted. You know what I mean? With these colors, you know?
Yet to be painted with all the music that you're going to be spreading through the world. So the next question is kind of based on what's the reason that you started Chromatic Records? Because you you thought that some other labels were lacking something, and then as a result Chromatic Records would fulfill that. So like, how is Chromatic Records going to be unique, and like what will it contribute in the music industry? How is it different from other record labels, and what will it fulfill within the music industry?
I think the way that it's going to be different is we're creating opportunities instead of creating animosity between label and producer, musician. There was a season that Gino and I went through, and we spoke about this on your last episode, where we were getting these automatic mailers turning down our demos, but we're looking at our play charts on Spotify and we know that they weren't being played. So what was happening is, like, we still felt like we were in the room, but we weren't next to the right people. So Chromatic became an outlet for us to release the content that we've been shopping for so long. And Crespo can probably piggyback off this, but we wanted to create an opportunity for ourselves, and by doing that, we've created an opportunity for everyone else.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what it is. And I think what I help manage the Los Padres project, and I would have so many good records from the guys, and I would send them to big labels, and we even signed with some. And what we noticed was a lot of these labels were just using their name and not really using anything else to help push the record.
Yeah.
And we found, like, you know, some records were not getting any exposure at all. For us, it's like, all right, they obviously don't take as much pride as we would in our own music, so why not release it ourselves and put as much pride and work into each record as we can, you know? So with Chromatic, what we strive to offer is a place to release your music and also all the resources you need to make sure that record is heard, from help with playlisting, from help with graphics, from even help on the production side. If you need help mastering or mixing, or even finishing the record, we have a whole team in-house to really make sure that your music is ready and where you want it to be.
That's awesome. So you kind of mentioned this, but you said that that the reason that you decided to create, one of the reasons you decided to create this label was to also release your own music and to not be limited by other labels, and also not have the problem that labels don't really care about your music. And I feel like that's something that so many artists are facing and are dealing with every day, where sometimes they, you know, release a song through a label and they split either 50% or however the percentage is, but that label is really not giving them much place. So now they have like only 50% of the royalties, and they could have done a better job by self-releasing. So will Chromatic Records fix this issue for their artists to the point where they will do much better than the artists would do by themselves?
Right. So one of the biggest dark secrets of label releases is they're either releasing your record because they want to build you up as an artist for in the future, have the potential to sign you to exclusively to the label, which in all reality, you may not be able to keep a lot of your royalties and your intellectual property. Or the flip side that no one talks about, they sign your records to take them off the market. So if you're not getting the plays that you would expect, we've been on a tier 1 label and we have had not the greatest numbers on that. And you have to think about it. Could we have done better on our own? The answer is yes. I mean, we potentially could have done a lot better on our own. But what that has done is created it has created opportunities for us. And we're so thankful for that, because that's what has driven us to this point right now. Chromatic as a label is going to sign all kind of music. If the music isn't there, we're going to create an opportunity to get the records there. Mixing and mastering, production tips, feedback. And if it's not something that is ready to be released, we will guarantee an opportunity to revisit that project with the artist after it has been developed more. Like, we're not here to slam doors in people's faces. We're here to kind of invite an opportunity for artists, musicians, producers, DJs to develop their sound. I think we'll be a little bit more competitive within our direct industry than we are expecting right now because of the social climate. But once everything is out and about and Crespo is playing a young artist's record in New York City, we're playing it at a festival, those accomplishments go so far. And I hope that kind of answered your question.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we see ourselves as an opportunist and with value in getting the records placed. And we encourage to use the same platforms that we would use for our own releases.
And to slowly piggyback off that, also to educate a lot of the producers that do not know these things as well, whether it comes to the royalties, the splits, and even the playlisting stuff, because there's a lot of producers that just think it just stays in the bedroom with your record and just exporting a WAV file, but that's just the first chapter of a long journey that you have for your music to really get exposed in the professional manner that you would like to be taken. So there's a lot of things that we would like to, it's more than just a production value that Chromatic Records gives us. It's a whole kind of a 360 way looking at it.
Another thing that kind of splits us from the bunch is Crespo is such a curator with music because he's DJed with Jaden Smith. He's toured all around the country. He has residencies internationally. And the artists that release with us, they're gonna have an army supporting that music, because Crespo's not gonna sign a song he would never play, right?
Yeah.
So we would never sign a record that we probably would never have interest in, and we're not gonna waste anybody's time. So these musicians and producers can come to us knowing that there's a extended opportunity other than just Spotify, right? Video shares of Crespo banging this out in front of 10,000 people in a venue, us doing the same thing. Those moments last a lot longer than a couple months with little to no plays being released on a tier 1 label. Those are more valuable.
That's so great to hear, and that's something that a lot of artists are looking for in a label. So it's great to see record labels in general start to come up where they truly, help those artists, because there's so much talent out there. So many people that can, release great music, but as Gino said, don't necessarily have the knowledge to be able to, or knowledge or context to be able to get themselves heard. So a platform like Chromatic Records seems like somewhere that could, guide them in the right direction. It's really great to hear. So, Crespo, so we kind of mentioned the topic, but what kind of music will this record label be signing? Is it going to be like multi-genre, like a specific type of music? Is it going to be specific to dance music, but then all kinds of dance music, or also like pop music? What kind of genres are we looking at?
I think we're definitely not like, I love lo-fi music. I don't know if that's the music we particularly would love to release. I think we all come from dance backgrounds, and we like to play our music in nightclubs and festivals. So I think particularly for now, we'd love to release all kinds of music, but definitely something more on the upbeat end, stuff that we could DJ out live, because we see a huge platform there. And I would love to release some hip hop down the road. And so there's many lanes to the label, but I think we have this foundation of dance and club music, and something that's less, let's sit at home and maybe fall asleep to this. Yeah. Something more upbeat and energetic. But who's to say that, we hear a record that we love and be like, hey, this is so good, let's sign it. So that's the beauty of the label, is we really try not to draw a box around anything.
And within dance music, there's so many subgenres, and I feel like as the years go by, more come up, and more, as a new styles happens, or a new artist creates something unique, a new subgenre is created. So within dance music, will you also release all those subgenres, from like, chill tropical house, or to bass house, to future bass?
Of course, I love all of those. I love everything electronic, basically. I've just found a new love for techno, which I lost a love for a while, and I'm back into it now, so I think between the three of us, we have such an eclectic taste that, our roots are in dance music, so we welcome all kinds of dance music always.
One of the coolest things too is as we develop our website, our Spotify, and all these different platforms, you'll see that we'll start to have these genre playlists and these subgenre playlists, and they'll all be curated by us. So as we start building the catalog as a label, it'll give you that Spotify kind of vibe, but at the same time, it creates more lanes for people to release music. So again, it just comes back to the creating opportunity by not cornering ourselves into one label.
Great. Well, awesome. And Gino, if you could answer that, what kind of deals are you going to be signing with artists? So is it going to be like mainly single releases, one song, or more like albums, or will you sign like an artist and then release more than one song with them?
Something we're looking into. Initially, we're just probably looking for singles, just for something to kind of expose just the artist initially. But if an artist was to come across us with like a small EP of something, 3 to 4 to 6 tracks of just something quality, something that maybe could create some sort of dance music story or something like that really just kind of grabs our attention, that's something that's definitely not going to discourage us, at least like looking into those opportunities and options. I mean, if an album comes up and that's, this is an artist that has 16 quality tracks, and this is something we want to build maybe a relationship with the artist, and instead, maybe talk to them and see if they want to build some sort of like yearly schedule out so that they have something quality to look forward to. There's just so many options to look at, but definitely this is something, not to discourage any artist, but if they would like to send us a couple of them, not to send thousands at the same time, we would consider small options like that down the road for sure.
That's great. And in terms of promotion, would every single release get kind of like the same energy put into and the same promotion in general, or the different contracts and different songs will have different kind of like projects?
It could be a sort of a case by case really with these artists, and that's the thing that we really like with Chromatic Records, is that we give you that opportunity to do what you want. You kind of give you the canvas of how you'd want to either, we educate you in these playlisting opportunities that you have, or if you want to grow as an artist and really just get your records out there to just create more of a catalog. There's just different ways to kind of angle that. So we'd like to just give more flexibility to the artist. I think at the end of the day is what we want to do.
Mm-hmm. And being that our label is piggybacked off of Jamvana as our distributor, shout out to Jamvana, and also No Face, shout out to No Face.
Had them on the show.
We're gonna be able to offer several release packages, right? And some of them don't even cost a dollar. Some of them don't even, you don't have to spend any money on. But we want to give these artists an opportunity, right? And we're gonna be going across that threshold as if it was being released directly through Jamvana. We are just the platform for you to be able to do that. So obviously we want to work with artists who take their own material seriously and they want to invest in their future. But at the same time, music is music, and we're willing to sign anything that sounds great and given the opportunity from Chromatic. So all the artists out there listening, and musicians and producers and DJs, because we're going to be expanding to having a podcast on Spotify.
Great.
That is really what it is. It's either going to be a single release contract, a multi-EP contract, where we could spread out your releases one a quarter. You can have 4 really great releases a year, but I think that's to the extent of what we're going to go. And then they're going to have the opportunity to see what we use for our own platforms and be able to use the same exact references and same exact network. So nothing's hidden here. Everybody's going to get the same opportunity that Crespo, Gino, and myself would get any day.
Great. Awesome. So Crespo, there's this like great myth or question that so many artists are asking themselves, and that's whether or not good music is enough. So does Chromatic Records care about good music, or do they also want to see an artist that has a brand behind them, that has some sort of following and has some sort of like direction already?
That's actually a really good question. I think personally the three of us have come to the notion that like good music will always speak for itself, and we want this to be a home for your music to be able to release. But we also want to be able to help you build your brand. And so that's part of the services we offer also, is like, hey, if you come in here and let's say you don't have a big following, we would love to coach you and show you the ropes, help you build everything from a logo to your artwork, all of that stuff, and know that you have a home here and that we're willing to help you build your brand, because what if we found the next Chainsmokers?
Yeah.
What if we were the guys to really start building that artist up and they put their trust in us from day one? That's kind of, how we see this going down in the future, is not only are we a label that releases music, but we help bring artists to the forefront and build their brands. And eventually, who knows, maybe we become a management company or an agency to where we can also help push our artists down the road, So I would say don't feel discouraged if you don't have a big following. You have to start somewhere. I mean, we all did, So I think with Chromatic, it's a great place to get your music out. And even if you don't have tons of followers, we can help your music get to those people, and then those followers will come.
Great. And well, the last question, Gino, before we get into listening to some demos, what main advice would you give an artist that wants to get signed to your label?
What main advice would I give to artists?
So, a talented artist, that wants to get signed to Chromatic Records. Any advice from you guys?
I would definitely say obviously there's a waiting period for us. So if you don't, we're just beginning to the initial launch of us. So if you're not hearing anything for the first week or two, don't feel discouraged. there is something we always get back to our responders with demos. That's something we're going to always guarantee to everybody. But also, if there's, don't feel discouraged to send us any type of music, guys. A lot of people, I've been getting already initial, just in my personal Instagram, a lot of people have been saying, is it just dance music? And this is something that we're not discouraging anything from reggae, from foundations of dance music to extensive, subgenres of that. We're allowing everything. And I feel like a lot of people have been maybe discouraged by either bigger labels or cookie cutter labels that have specific sounds or something. There's no really limits to what we're looking for here. So that would be the advice that I would give you guys, is just feel free to, go at it, and just gonna come at us with all the demos that you would like.
Awesome. Well, let's listen to some demos that were sent to my email and see what you guys think.
Sweet.
All right, this is the first demo by Kenny and Kchief. Hopefully I'm pronouncing this right. Decision.
Latin roots, there it is. All right, I got some feedback.
What do you guys think?
So last time you had us on, we kind of touched on this basis too. Cool vibes. It's definitely got that Latin appeal that we were talking about earlier in the conversation. But one thing that Gino and I have always kind of run back to is foreshadowing the record, right? So if you use your drop in the intro and the build, or the melody, or the rhythm, or the groove, it's predictable. So it kind of feels repetitive. So my advice would be to maybe start subtracting from the intro and start subtracting from that build, so that when the drop happens, it's a little bit more impactful.
Yeah.
I would say it still needs a little bit more work, and it could get a little bit more creative. There's a couple things that we could do, to help those artists out and be able to discuss those things with them too.
I love the drums. Drums sounded really good. The vocal sample was dope. Structure to me was a little long. Like that drop wrote a little too long for me. Like in a nightclub, my crowd would get a little tired of it. But I like it. It's pretty good quality. The bass line.
What do you think of the mix?
A little muddy from what I hear in my headphones.
My headphones, there's a lot of low end. I heard a lot of low end.
Yeah.
I feel it's a little heavy bass on the low end.
Yeah. A tip and trick to everybody sending in like previews. Crespo hit it on the head. His crowds, he's in and out of records pretty quick. So when you send a preview, don't feel like we need a extended mix. You've got us for an extended period of time. Keep us interested in the record. I mean, this is psychology 101 when it comes to music creating. So you want to be able to draw people in to listen to your full song.
Yep. The other thing I would say is, from listening to so many records over the years and like people asking for like sending demos, is like, if you can cut a version that gets straight to like the feeling of the record, I would recommend that, because I sit there and listen through intros, and sometimes I get so tired that I'm like, next,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think a lot of A&Rs like that is, maybe create like a radio edit or some kind of version to where you're straight into the break or into like the
Or
fun
listen
part
to
of
the
it.
build, something a little bit more dynamic. Like a radio edit. This is exactly what I'm sitting on.
All right, let's listen to the second one.
This is the guy that we wanted to sign last time.
Yeah, the guy
Yeah,
that
I'm
made
looking forward to this
Just
one.
Walk Away. All right, let's go. Let's do this.
And never let go, never let go. Hold my hand and save your soul, save your soul. Love, love, never let me go, never let me go. No, never let me go. No, love can never let me go, never let me go from you. No, let me go. No, let me go. No, let me go. No, let me go.
What do you guys think?
Nope.
So something Carlos touched on, and it's a great transition into this track too. Foreshadowing. This is a great track. You could do a little bit of foreshadowing with those vocal chops in the drop. Use maybe a snippet of those, like maybe towards the end, and use those for your build up that was or your build or your intro that you had just at the very snippets of that, so that this kind of has a little bit more unity and unison, so that when you hear that drop, it sounds a little bit more familiar subconsciously, and it
Yeah.
hits a little bit harder as well. But I think the idea is fantastic.
Yeah, the
He-
ear
he-
candy is crazy.
He mentioned
There's
in
a
the
lot
email.
of get
He
little
mentioned
tricks
in the
in
email
there.
that the song wasn't finished, so he mentioned that he's still working on it and he's planning to finish it, but the song isn't
Yeah,
done. So.
yeah, it's definitely dope. It has the ear candy that I like.
Mhm.
I mean, and Gino hit it on the head. Just get that build a little bit tighter.
Agree.
Not necessarily add more bass, right? Take that away. So when the drop hits, it's full of bass. But yeah, I mean, it's very, very good.
I would say too,
I'm
even
not-
play around with the vocal. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Tell me. Go ahead. Tell me.
I would say too, he did such a great vocal in that track that I would even try to play with some of the filters and reverbs that he would have in the build up to kind of like play, because I found like he only used just maybe the end of the phrase and then he just hit it in the drop. Maybe take a word of that phrase and just have it super kind of distant in the back. Play with that vocal a little bit as in reverb and filter it out with like a band pass or something like that. Make it a little bit more extensive, but.
I do love how the drop progressed. I think the build's missing something. It sounded a little empty. But
Yeah,
aside
I
from
thought
that,
the snare loop was a little generic.
Yeah,
But
a lot
what-
of times if he could just follow the melody of the vocal, that's kind of like you'll never hear me and Gino really say this. This is like our bread and butter. So never let me go. Na-na-na-na-na, na-na-na-na-na. If you have that in the build, it feels familiar to the song. People will continue to sing lyrically over that melody, and then in the drop, he's already doing it.
Sick.
So different ways to keep the vocal continuing using different kinds of elements.
Awesome. Before we move to the third one, I wanted to ask you, what do you guys think of vocals that come from Pax or Splice? Like, would you sign a record that has a vocal from Splice or from a Pax? I'm not sure if he either wrote this with the singer or and put it in there, or if he got it from a Pack.
I encourage Carlos to answer this one.
I'll take this one because I have a love-hate relationship for Splice. First off, everybody's using Splice, so it's hard to stand out. And we hear the same vocals that everybody and their mother is hearing on Splice, okay? The second thing is there's a lot of legalities that can come out through it. So Splice might not interfere with your record if you're sub 100,000 streams, but they might step in and try to collect on 1 million streams. And you have to be, as an artist and a label, you have to be willing to cut that. So
Oh yeah, I thought it was 100% royalty free.
well, it's 100% royalty free, but let me tell you, Splice always has an opportunity to collect. Okay, so and that goes with a lot of sample packs. The reality is unless you understand entertainment law or music law, that company is always going to be able to represent themselves. Have you ever seen a pack online that says you can't use that person's name or
Yes.
you're not allowed to? That is one of those examples. So because 50 people are going to use it, they want to go ahead and reserve the opportunity to make a claim if the record explodes. So when it comes to our label, if you wanted to stand out above the crowd and you sent us a top line, which is different from a sample pack, and your vocal was original and you got it cut originally, or you use Spotify's program that allows you to hire artists to sing on your records.
Sound better.
Sound better.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's going to be more attractive to us because we have an opportunity to allow the artist to monetize on their voice on the record, the producer, and the label. Don't quote me on the splice law, but I think it's a little bit more attractive when records have more of an organic vocal.
Use it as an inspiration. Use, cadence. Use the cadence. Use it as a little bit more of an inspiration or some like a roadmap, if you will.
Not saying we won't sign it, but
right, yeah.
Comparatively, if you have an opportunity to work with an artist or somebody who can sing, just pay the $100 for the 1 hour in the studio, have them recut a vocal. That's very similar to what you're using as your reference. And right there, you've made your 80% record that's original, 100% original and organic.
Awesome.
Sometimes it's worth the investment.
Let's move to the next one. I'm really excited to show you this one. All right, this is Metno and Jax for you.
There's nothing left to say, nothing you could do. There is no other way when it comes to the truth. So keep moving on. You know you'll make it through. I've suffered, I'm done waiting here for you. Waiting here for you. Waiting here for
Bro, that's good.
Wow, can we keep playing that?
Damn.
That's a private link, so that song is not released. And he just sent it to me a couple days ago. So,
Hey, you know what makes that sound? Hey, he probably listened to our last one. Remember when we said use triplet melodies, Gino? The fact that is in a triplet,
track,
and in
doesn't that feel so different from
in the
what
build
we
up? He used the
typically said?
foreshadowing effect that you guys were talking about, how the bass was coming in the build up with the bounce and everything.
Exactly. And it's so crazy because I was like, oh my gosh, is it in triplet? You know what I mean? To the 4/4, and it was like, that's ear candy. Those are things that like really resonate with us producers. You're doing something different.
That's a great record. I really like that, guys.
I like that a lot.
They probably had the idea they could go bum 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 bum, but they went huge
with that triple.
And in a triple, I mean, dude, that's creative. That's what we want. That's what I want.
That drop, man, I love that.
That vocal too in the beginning got me like nostalgic Cascade vibes all day,
it starts
was
right.
so good.
It starts right to the point. It doesn't have like an intro. It goes directly to the point, which is good.
I would
here's
say
an example.
Try putting that melody up an octave in that second drop. That's actually something my fellow Carlos taught me. That's something that to keep it riding. That drop is so good that if you even wanted to make it longer, you could just do the same thing, just go an octave up and just keep those vibes going. It was so good.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yo, put that in the stockpile for us, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll text the guy and have him talk to you.
Yeah, I would. That's a record. That's a complete record. That's a record I'd love to have on this label.
Great.
Nice work.
For the next one, I wanted to show you a feature-based demo that was sent. That was cool. However, it doesn't have vocals.
We're here to help with that too.
Yeah. I want to mention that. Kind of like what we're doing right now is what we want to offer the artist, whether it's an hour to say, hey, take this octave up here.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, move this here. We're going to offer those opportunities within the label. And then, like Crespo's saying, if you need a top line, I mean, I think we have access to about our roster of singers and writers is probably 12 to 15 male, female rappers, writers. Okay. So our label is going to be signing top line artists that will be exclusively rendering services to the people who want to release on our label. So when we listen to a record, and if it sounds like something that I've heard on Splice, I'm probably going to suggest using or offering an opportunity to use that service that we provide to get yourself an organic vocal. Like, I got a microphone here. We hit up an artist. They come over. They cut your vocals. Now you've got an artist on your record. I can't. That's so imperative. It's an opportunity that we're trying to create that you don't get from a lot of labels.
Awesome. Let's hear the track. Chainsmokers vibe there. What do you guys think?
It's dope. I think you could strip the entire intro and make that from 64 bars to 8 bars.
Yeah. I felt, because the chord felt a little too long.
When the guitar's coming in with the drum, to me, in arrangement, that's where the vocals would be. So you don't really need an intro that's so progressive.
Unless you got a crazy, amazing vocal, obviously, you know, this
right.
is...
And then the drop just needs to be 8 to 16 bars because you got to remember, we're trying to get in and out of these records when we play these festivals and when we play these venues. So a record that takes 2 minutes to get to the drop is going to be very difficult to keep the audience entertained. Not that the record's bad, but that's just, you've only got a certain window to draw in a fan. So by cutting down and slicing up your arrangements and condensing it, you're just creating a better opportunity for a better record.
Yeah, I think the listener nowadays has so much ADD that, you know, we want to get straight to the point. But the drops are really dope. I think there's a lot of really good harmonies, melodies that work well.
Yeah,
that's what I look for in a future bass record. There, it sounds great.
Awesome. Well, that's it for the demos. That's for the demos right there. Thank you so much for giving feedback to these guys, and hopefully if you guys like to try, you can build a relationship with them. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge here in my YouTube channel, and hopefully I learned a lot from you. Hopefully everyone can learn more. And yeah.
absolutely, dude.
Thanks for watching this interview, guys. It was really awesome to get to talk to them. They also gave you guys feedback, which is really cool. For future videos, just send me your demos to this email, and whenever I talk to a record label, to talk to other DJs, talk to musicians, I'm gonna show them your music, and then they're gonna give you direct feedback. This way you can also learn from direct feedback from them. So if you like the content, please subscribe. It means a lot to me that you support me. I am really excited to show you what I'm working on, also interview so many cool artists and show you. So yeah, if you like the content, subscribe, like, comment below what you think. Also tell me other DJs you want to see in this interview podcast. So until then, I'll see you next time. Peace.